Right, hi everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Um, this is just a brief explanation before I let you go and watch the video. Um, you're probably sitting there wondering why is Warren uploading a video for something that he's already published? Well, the reason is if you go and look, this video that you're about to watch was somehow or other it's been deleted off my channel. I have no idea why. I didn't do it, but it has. I did contact YouTube, still waiting for an answer. If it was them, then I have not received any explanation. They've received no warnings about why it was done or told if you do this again, your account will be terminated. Nothing. Not a dicky bird. But the weird thing is when you click on one of the videos that was deleted, it says video was deleted by the uploader, which I haven't done. So I have no idea why this has happened. I have a few theories about what I think may have happened, but I'm not really going to go into that. The only thing I am going to say is if the person who is responsible for that video being deleted off my account is watching this, I just wanted to let you know that wheels are in motion, let's say, to find out what happened and who is responsible. Once that information comes to light, the police will be involved. So if I were you, I would be very careful about what you do in the future. So yeah, just leave it like that. Anyway, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about it. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I hope that you enjoy the show. It's a great one. It really is, and I'm sure you're going to love it. Anyway, take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
In his press conference this morning, I know you touched on it with Vinny, but he's did a bit of man love back there, Harry, as well. And what is it about him that?
I mean that really great.
I think you should. A bit of man love.
Yeah.
Good man flu I've heard of, but man on man. No, don't go there.
I'm fairly innocent, you see, that's why I
Well, so am I, and I almost blushed.
They're obviously not though. So what is it about?
Let's just get this straight. On a looks front, my wife's got a lot more about her than each. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But on a managerial front, he takes a lot of beating. That just.
When you do that with footballers, like he said about Leeds, I've kept really quiet, but I'll tell you something. He went down in my estimation when he said that. We have not resorted to that, but I'll tell you, you can tell him now, be watching it, we're still fighting for this title, and he's got to go to Middlesbrough and get something. And I'll tell you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
Townsend right in there. Houghton also making his presence felt. There's his shot. It's a goal for Ireland. The goalkeeper caught badly out of position.
Maradona turns like a little eel and comes away from trouble. Little squat man comes inside Budger, leaves him for dead. Outside Fennick leaves him for dead and puts the ball away. And that is why Maradona is the greatest player in the world. He buried the English defence. He picked up that ball 40 yards out. First he left one man for dead. First he went past Saxon. It's a goal of great quality by a player of the greatest quality. It's England 0, Argentina 2.
Good ball by Dixon, finding Smith. for Thomas, charging through the midfield. Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas, right at the end. An unbelievable climax to the league season.
You ever gentle on my mind? It's
Everything they've entered this season, they have won.
Right, so hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And tonight I'm absolutely delighted to let you all know that I've been joined by the legendary Kyle Walsh Gunner. He is a legend in my eyes, anyway. The fella's an absolute top man, and always talks facts about the club. Really passionate Arsenal supporter, and he wears his shirt on the sleeve, as they say. But he's a top gunner, and I'm delighted to have him on. And tonight we're going to be talking about his life as a football fan. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what he's got to say. And Kyle, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself and tell people about your channel and stuff like that?
Yeah, first of all, big up to you, Warren, the legend of all legends, as far as I'm concerned. You're the real legend here, Warren, not me. And as well as that, thanks very much for having me on your show. It's always an honour. You get me on the Kyle Walsh Gunner YouTube channel. I speak with passion. I speak facts. I want number one, not number two. It's as simple as that. So, check me out. I haven't posted a video now in a while because I'm doing this. I'm waiting until I see the players with the jerseys and everything is 100% confirmed, and then I'm going to do a video. But what I will say is, I ain't happy about Kai Havertz. I ain't happy about Timber. And I sure to God ain't happy about Declan Rice. So keep an eye out for that video. Everyone is hyping up this Timber as the best centre-back since Tony Adams. Everybody is hyping up Kai Havertz now all of a sudden is a legend of a player. And Declan Rice is the best midfield player in the world. It's time for the fan base to clap themselves on. But that's for another time, another video.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. We will, I'm sure at some point we'll be having a chat about that. And I'll be looking forward to hearing your insights into those transfers, mate, if and when they happen.
Yes.
I mean, I know the Kai Havertz one has happened because they've got it all on the Arsenal website, and that I have to say I'm not impressed by that at all. But that's for another day. So, Kyle, let's get into talking about yourself. We're just going to have a chat and find out more about you and whatnot. So let's go back to the very beginning, Kyle. And can we start off by asking where you were born and where did you grow up?
Yeah, Warren, I was born in Wexford, southeast of Ireland. We call the County Wexford, the sunny southeast. We get the best weather in Ireland. It's always sunny, seemingly. You'll be lucky to see the sun probably for about 3 weeks of the whole year, Warren, because other than that, it's always dark skies, rain, wind, frost, snow, and all the rest of it. But no, Wexford is where I'm from is a town called Enniscorthy here in Wexford. Wexford town itself is about 20-minute drive from where I live. Wexford town is a lovely, lovely little town, nice views over the water. It's like just one kind of main street with all the shops on it and restaurants and nightclubs and pubs. It's a nice town. The town that I live in is Enniscorthy. It's a nice town in geography terms. It'd be a nicer town than Wexford. But unfortunately, it's a town that has been forgotten about. They don't do any investment in this town whatsoever. They've left this town to die. And it's very, very sad. The only things in this town, Warren, are bookies, takeaways, and second-hand shops, charity shops. And that's it. And if you have a job in this town, you're lucky. And if you don't have a job in this town, you're in serious bother. So it's after turning into a kind of a rough enough town. It used to be always a nice little town, but what's after happening, I suppose after happening in every society in the world, and I'm not being racist here or anything like that, but what I'm saying is they've let too many foreign nationalists into the town here, Warren. And unfortunately, listen, I've no problem with people trying to get on with their lives. It's not easy to move from one culture to go into another culture, and so big up to those people. But what's happened is people can't get, our own people can't get houses. We're like, I'm in the process here of moving. I got a new apartment to move into. It's not ideal, but what can you do? Well, I'm sure if I met up and said I was from whatever country, I'd get a house. But that's in every society, Warren. And who am I to give house? At least I have a place over my head. But it was a nice little town, but I started getting into it. I turned into a rough little town. A lot of drugs in it. Lots of drinking involved in it. And sad to see. But that's where I'm from, Warren. From a nice little town, but unfortunately, it's a town that's forgotten about.
Sounds a nice area, but like you say, it's really sad to see or to hear that, the town seems to be forgotten about and there's lack of investment in it. And, because, lack of investment can only lead to more problems and then getting worse and worse. It's not going to solve anything.
No. No. There's no great job employment here in this town. We used to have a few factories, but they've all closed and nothing in place. Empty factory buildings. That's all you see. If they opened up one of those factories and employed 300 or 400 men, that's 300 or 400 families in this town that would benefit from that. It'd be good for the town. You see, we wanted to get Tesco's and pennies and things like that. Pennies, I can't remember what you call pennies over in England. I can't remember. But pennies here and Tesco's. And what happened was you have 3 or 4 politicians that have businesses here in the town. And they're the ones that decide what comes to the town and what don't come into the town. So they've refused pennies, they've refused Tesco's, and basically what they're doing is refusing jobs for the local people. It's not wrong.
No, it's wrong. And, I wouldn't mind betting that those politicians that don't want, these pennies or Tesco's or whatever coming into the town are going to benefit financially from them not coming.
Yeah. Very sad.
It is sad. So, Carl, when did your interest in football start, and how did it start?
My father is a Liverpool fan all his life. He's now 72. He's supporting Liverpool since he was something like 8 or something like that. So, huge football interest he always had. Great man for boxing as well. Had great interest in boxing. Funny enough, he never liked the GAA or national sports there. But he always liked tennis. He always liked snooker. All that kind of stuff. But football was his number one sport. Football and boxing was his number one sport. And I remember then as a little boy looking at Match of the Day with my dad, sitting on his lap on a Saturday watching Match of the Day. And back in the day, Warren, you didn't have Sky Sports and stuff like that. So I was looking at Match of the Day, and then there was matches live broadcast on HTV at the time. And I remember watching games on HTV. I remember the FA Cup finals used to be on BBC. We watched them. And then also on top of all that, I was also looking at the Italian football. Yeah. Because Maradona was playing at the time. And right. Yeah, I was influenced by all Italian football as well. So I was born with a football in my hands. And that's basically it, Warren. So when I was 1987, 86, I remember Liverpool played Arsenal. And I asked my father about Arsenal, what were they like, or any good, because I was a Liverpool fan, because I was like my dad. And my dad said, yeah, Arsenal is this and Arsenal is that. And he actually kind of convinced me. And I looked at the game and I said to my dad at the end of the game, you know what? I think I start following Arsenal now. That was in 1986, if my mind serves me right. And I'm still with him to this very day. So that's how I started, Warren. Back all was years ago in 1986.
Because I remember like back in the day that it was like only one live game broadcast on TV, and that was the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Right. You'd see like highlights of games on Match of the Day, and then we used to have the independent television and the BBC used to have programs during the week where they show highlights. I think one was called Midweek Sports Special, and the other one was called Sports Night. And it would always go out late at night on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And typically, it would be cup replays or games involving English clubs in European competition. But that'd be it. That's all you get. And then, if not that, you'd be listening to it on the radio. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it brings back a lot of memories. And then, obviously, like the Italian football on Channel 4, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Seeing Diego Maradona and Paul Gascoigne and all those characters. But anyway, so
I'd just like to say one thing, Warren, that you mentioned his name there. I listened to a lot of hype here about Declan Rice, for example, and 105 million price tag. And back in the day, I listened to a lot of hype about David Beckham. But to be honest with you, I think it's an English thing that makes out these players to be gods. And they're not gods. Good players, not gods. But in my lifetime, as a football fan, you talk about some of the best English players that were genuinely brilliant players. Genuinely. I mentioned Paul Scholes in that race. Paul Scholes, I thought, was a genius of a footballer. You mentioned who was Stevie G. I thought Stevie G was an immense football player. Brilliant player. But the best English footballer I ever saw in my lifetime, who had natural ability, more so than any other player, Paul Gascoigne.
100%. 100%, mate. He was unbelievable. He was an incredible player. And, it's quite sad, really. I mean, to see the way he's gone and whatnot, but
it's horrible.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but he had a great career. I mean, but talent-wise, he was just off the scale.
To tell you the truth, Warren, when I look back on his career, I always say this. He's the sort of player that I thought could have achieved so much more.
Yeah.
He should have won World Cups for England. He was that good, he could have won a World Cup on his own.
No, he was. And at club level as well, if he'd had the proper management, I think he would have been fine.
He was close to going to Manchester United. I think if he would have went to Manchester United under Ferguson, I think we could have saw a whole different Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Because when he went to Spurs, he just it was too much for him, and I don't think that Venables had the management skills that Ferguson.
Not at all.
No, so yeah, it was sad, and the poor fella obviously had quite serious mental health issues as well. So,
but what I'm saying, Warren, what I'm going to say to you is that we're talking about my lifetime as a football fan. We were very lucky, Warren, when you look back on it. Very lucky. Look at the amount of great players that we grew up watching. Like football, like young people now today that be watching this, like young Connor there now and young TJ and young lads that's fans of the game and all the rest of it. They're going to watch highlights of these players that we talk about. We got to see these players.
I know. I mean, I remember going to Highbury and watching Arsenal play Liverpool, and on the Liverpool team, they had Peter Beardsley, they had Ian Rush, they had Kenny Dalglish, they had Alan Hansen. It was just all over the pitch. Absolutely amazing, brilliant players. And this is why I keep saying that football nowadays, the level of it isn't at the level that it was back in the day. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's nowhere near.
But you're Warren, like we're just discussing their Paul Gascoigne and Declan Rice. I know they're two different players, two different eras. But if Paul Gascoigne was around today, if Declan Rice is worth 105 million, Paul Gascoigne would be worth 505 million.
Sorry, say that again?
If Declan Rice is worth 105 million this year, in this era of football, how much would Paul Gascoigne be?
Oh God, I know. It's terrifying, isn't it? It really is.
What
But they're just not. They're not in there. They just. The problem is these players get overhyped.
I tell you, Warren. I tell you what I've noticed with today's football towards the football that we grew up with. Today, you have to be an athlete. You have to be able to run. So that natural ability is not there that much anymore with players. You know?
And not only that, you've got coaches like the one we've got at our club who want everything controlled down to the minutest detail. They can't handle it when they've got a player who's a bit of a maverick who comes in and wants to do stuff off the cuff.
Yeah.
That's why I think that Pepe had such a problem at Arsenal, because he was like that. I'm convinced if you had a manager who knew how to manage a maverick, he would have been a huge success, and I still reckon he would be at any club. But the problem is our manager wants to control everything down to the minutest detail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he can't. Having someone who just is going to do stuff off the cuff and unexpected doesn't fit into that plan.
And that's why I think we will not win any Premier League title, because of that particular statement that you just made. You look back at Manchester United. Eric Cantona was one of those players that would do something out of the ordinary and win a game of football for him. Matthew Letizia did it for Southampton.
Exactly, mate. And this is why, if Maradona was playing now, why he would never be successful at Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Because Arteta wouldn't be able to cope with him. Yeah. Because he would just do stuff like completely off the radar, completely off the cuff.
Yeah.
And not within the game plan. And he just can't. It would freak him out. He wouldn't be able to handle it. So when you were growing up, Carl, living in Wexford, what was it like being an Arsenal fan? Because I know for a fact that Ireland has a lot of Liverpool fans, a lot of Man United fans, and a lot of Celtic fans, for example. So how was it for you being an Arsenal fan growing up in Wexford?
Well, two things I want to say about that one. Number one, what I say is I was surrounded by those clubs that you just mentioned. Every single person I knew supported either Liverpool, Man United, or Celtic. I was one of those very few Arsenal fans that I can remember back on. Like in my household, you have my dad, a Liverpool fan, and I only have one brother, and he's a Man United fan. And then you had me as an Arsenal fan. So that was just in my house. And when I say a fan, I'm talking serious fans. Like, very, very passionate fans in that household. And then all the friends I grew up with and the lads I played football with were the same. They were all Liverpool, Man United, Celtic, even a few Aston Villa supporters. But I was one of the only few around that was Arsenal. So, in that way, I was isolated, but growing up. But what I will say is, as a fan of Arsenal, and because of my genuine passion and love for the club, from day one up to the day I die, I became very well known. Not just here, but around the country as an avid Arsenal fan. As a matter of fact, I go as far as saying to you that in my hometown, in my home county, and in surrounding counties, I will be known as Mr. Arsenal. That's what they call me. My brother is here eating dinner there at the moment, and he tell you the same. Everywhere I go, people comes over to me to talk about Arsenal, Warren. And I'm talking about people that I don't even know their names. Is that true, Fast? Is that true, Fast Night?
True, yeah.
100%.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I go anywhere I go, Warren, people talk to me about Arsenal. And I wouldn't have a clue who they are. But I would stand there and I would talk. No problem. But, so, in one way I was nice to the others, but in another way, I became fairly well known around the country as Mr. Arsenal. So, yeah, it's a good thing, Warren. But now, I'm going to be honest with you, Warren. I have to be honest here tonight. I'm going to be honest about it. I've had relationships with different women throughout the years, even as a teenager. And relationships that I had with women broke up because of my relationship with Arsenal. That's the truth. That's how passionate I am.
I can believe it because, yeah, I can. I've had experiences like that myself, Carl. So, but given the fact that you were you were so isolated, let's say, as an Arsenal fan in the area you grew up in. When Arsenal lost or didn't perform to the way that was widely expected they would perform to, would it be a difficult experience for you to walk down the street or go to the pub or stuff like that?
Absolutely shocking. Again, I'm sitting here and I bring back memories to the brother there as well. I remember, Warren, lads sending down, it's called reeds night, is it? You know, the funeral reeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, funeral. The boys would send me down funeral reeds if we got based in a game. Mass cards. In fairness to my father, as I say, he was a huge Liverpool fan. He worked in a factory all his life. Possibly the hardest working man I ever came across. And I got my work ethic from him because from a very early age I saw what it was like to go out and work and earn your own bread, you know. And when Sky Sports first came out in the early 90s, he was one of the first lads to get Sky Sports in for me, the brother, and himself to watch the games. And we were one of the first people to have it. And up on the street, Warren, if Arsenal was playing Man United or Liverpool or someone big like that, this is the truth. You'd have the whole fucking street outside the front gate listening because they could hear me shouting from the sitting room. And they know exactly what was going on in the game. They didn't have to listen to Andy Gray or Richard Kings, so they had to always listen to me. And then if we got back to be mass cards, to be reeds outside the front gate, don't talk to me, Warren. No. I was a nightmare. And I walked down the town then, I guess, jeered left, right, and centre. I remember, I'll tell you, I'll go back as far as saying this to you. I remember in 1998, when we won the double, I went out to the nightclub with the Arsenal jersey on me, and no one was allowed into the nightclub with jerseys and let me in because obviously we had to win the league title. And I remember up on the dance floor with 2 large bottles of Bulmers at the time, and I dancing and screaming about Arsenal, and everyone looking at me like I was a mental patient. I was the only one out celebrating in the whole town. But I celebrated.
Exactly, mate. And why shouldn't you? But I see, mate, because I know what these bloody Man United fans are like. Right? I used to work in an Irish organisation in London. Right? If Man United beat Arsenal, all of them, throughout the day, one after the other, would come looking for you. Right? But if it happened the other way round and we beat United, you'd never see them. They'd come in hiding. You wouldn't be able to find them. Oh, they've gone off sick. Oh, they've gone to a meeting. Oh, he's not available. Do you know what I mean? There was always an excuse.
Always an excuse.
You know, it was just unbelievable, mate. And I can well believe it because I know what these buggers are like.
Well, I tell you a quick story there now. In 99, with those, I like to use language here, but I'm going to try not to. But when those disasters or bagels or whatever you want to call them, Man United, I hate them, one.
I can't stand them.
We were watching the FA Cup semi-final. Me and the brother, obviously, and the father. And at the time, we were both living at home with my dad. And my dad had a rocking chair, a wooden rocking chair. And the brother was sitting on the wooden rocking chair. My dad was sitting on one chair, an armchair, and I was sitting on the sofa. And when Vieira hit the ball over to Giggs, and Giggs went on that amazing run, I was screaming, break his two beeping legs. That's what I was screaming. Just someone kill him stone dead. The brother was standing. The father, as a Liverpool fan, had the head in the hands, didn't want to look. And I was screaming, someone hit him. And the next thing I saw, the ball hitting the back of the legs. And the other fella running down with the jersey over his head. Well, Warren, all I can say is, there and then, this is true, this happened. The brother just turned around. He picked up the wooden rocking chair, smashed it in bits off the floor and against the wall, screaming his head off. My father just couldn't say a thing. He was after just lying on the sofa crying because they were after scoring. And I was down on my hands and knees, roaring my eyes out. Couldn't believe what I was after seeing. Then me and the brother went to box the head off each other in the sitting room. The father had to get between us. And at the same time, there was about 40 lads standing outside the front gate. There was war that night, Warren. I mean, we went to war that night.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
That's an absolute mayhem, mate.
Mayhem broke out. That happened. That's the true story. And then we blew the league title then against Leeds. And then bastards went down and won the triple.
No, exactly. It was horrible. I remember that game. I was in the pub and it was similar there. So, what were your first memory of watching football, Carl, when you was a kid?
Yeah, my first memory, Warren, was definitely sitting on my dad's lap watching highlights on Match of the Day. And I do remember very well watching the Italian football. And I remember being absolutely glued to it. Yeah. And then obviously, remember my early memories then was looking at Liverpool because my dad was always looking at Liverpool. And then as I said to you, then start watching Arsenal. So my earliest memory would have been, the first cup I ever saw Arsenal win was the 87 Cup against Liverpool. Charlie Nichols. So that would have been my first cup. And then obviously, lucky enough to see the 89 league title victory in Anfield. Which I'll never forget. And then 91, and then I remember then when the two domestic cups in 93 and there's some times. So I might have been very lucky in life that I grew up when I did grow up because I saw such great teams, great players. Like you mentioned, Alan Hansen, one of the best centre backs of all time.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. I remember Peter Beardsley. Beardsley was a brilliant player. Ronnie Phelan, Steve McMahon. I remember Bruce Gobbler was my favourite goalkeeper at the time. I love Gobbler.
There's players you're mentioning are proper players, aren't they?
Proper players. Not like the ones you have today.
No.
Like, I'm listening a lot about this Timber coming to Arsenal. He wouldn't be fit to tell Alan Hansen's boot lessons. You know, these are facts, Warren. And there's 50 and 60 and 100 million thrown here and thrown there for average players.
I know.
But that's the way the modern era of football has gone.
Can you remember, though, what the first game was that you actually saw? You know, who was playing? Can you remember that?
Jesus, Warren, no, that you're asking me.
There's one game that sticks out in your memory because, like, for example, for me, I remember going in 1972 into the Clock End with my dad to see Arsenal play Liverpool.
Yeah. But I think my first game, was a Liverpool game, Warren. And I think it was Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. I'm nearly sure it was.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first game that I actually watched live on TV with my father.
Yeah.
I think HTV, was the channel at the time. What's the HTV now?
UTV.
HTV. It's UTV now, but it was HTV back in the day. Yeah. I think it was Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest would be my first game. Now I know it was Liverpool, but something was telling me Forest, but it could be someone else. But that was stuck out in my mind. As I said to you, I was based on Liverpool until Liverpool played Arsenal that day, and then it was Arsenal from there on.
Yeah,
So,
no. I mean, that happens a lot when you're a kid. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, the way I picked my team was I was in my bedroom playing with this wall chart thing, and you could put like little sticky little stickers on like a league ladder every week after the games. And my dad came in and offered to take me to see matches, but told me to pick a London side. That was that would have been in the summer of 72. So I picked Arsenal. I don't know why. That's what came into my head. So that's how it started for me. But so you telling me about how you were sat on your dad's lap watching Match of the Day, the Italian football as well, and things like that. So, Carl, I've heard from different people some interesting stories about you watching Arsenal in bars where you live. So, do you want to tell us one or two of those stories? Because I'm sure the people would love to hear them.
Right? The one that sticks out the most, Warren, was Arsenal versus Newcastle, when Dennis Bergkamp scored the greatest goal I have ever witnessed in Premier League history. Do you remember that beautiful goal the man scored? He made Dabby's ass look like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
What I can say to you is that there was a pub here called Shenanigans at the time. Big, massive pub. Place downstairs was packed and upstairs was packed. And we were all, me and about 6 other lads, no, not Arsenal fans, but other sorts of fans. We were all sitting at this table. Drinks galore on the table, match on the big screen. Hundreds of people around the place, no problem, watching the game. Brendan Robinson was the manager. If you sing this, big up to you, Brendan. But Dennis Bergkamp hit the back of the next one. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I had to look at it a second time on repeat when he scored. And I leapt up off the seats. And this is the truth. Not only did I pick up the table that I was sitting at, but I picked up a table that was on the other side of me at the same time and threw the two tables through the air. And about 60 drinks went flying through the air at the same time. I absolutely smashed the place up in bits. So Kyle got arm locked, head locked, and straight out through the front door by the bouncers. So I went up the next day to apologise, and I was told, you can more than welcome to come in for a drink, but when Arsenal Football Club is on the TV, you're barred for life. So I barred out of that place. So I went across to my local hotel another time, and I just put this out here. As I was sitting back, there was a fella in there, Chelsea fan, and he was, I don't know where, I think it was from Dublin maybe, I don't know, but he was giving a bit of grief, just trying, slight digs in there the whole time. So I said to me, he was doing it to a few of the fans, I said to myself, you better not open his mouth to me. What did he do? Open his mouth to me. And what was happening at the same time? Arsenal was getting fucking destroyed. So it was the very same as putting a red flag to a ball. So I waited for him to go to the toilet. So I went down to the toilet behind him. And he came back up out of the toilet about 20 minutes later, and he walked out through the door. He didn't come back into the bar. I wonder why. But anyway, later that night, the manager came over to me. He says, Kyle, never coming in here for an Arsenal game again. You went down to the toilet there and you did a few things that you shouldn't have done. So that poor fella went back and, yeah, well, sure, listen, these things happen. And the heat of the moment, as I always say, the heat of the moment, when your team is on the TV, I loses the plot. So, tell you now, Warren, and this is the truth, many pubs is there in town, like 32?
30, yeah.
There's about 30 pubs in this town where I live in, right? And the fact of the matter is, I'm barred out of 28 of them. I'm only allowed into 2. And the reason why I'm only allowed into 2 pubs to watch an Arsenal match is because you wouldn't let a dog in the place. So that's the only reason. I'd be sitting there most times, just me on my own.
Jesus Christ. Now, I've also heard, like, stories about family members filming you whilst you were watching football on TV. I was like wondering if you could tell us about what happened there, Carl.
Arsenal played Man City in a massive game. One of the games of the season. Hear me of the season of the last 20-year one. Just this season gone, we had to win the league title, as far as I was concerned. So we went out and we got a football lesson by Man City. So I was full of passion. I was hyped for the game. So as I always do, jumping up and down off the seat, shouting as if the players could hear me, giving that money abuse. And in the meantime, my nephew, who's another Man United bagel, was lying back on the sofa, shouting for Man City, by the way. And what was he doing? Oh, yeah. Had his mobile phone on, recording me throughout the game, my reactions. So one of my reactions leaked out onto YouTube. So whoever's watching, check out Kyle Walsh Gunner. You'll see a genuine reaction.
Mate, that video, I've seen that video. It is elite. Honestly, I've never seen anyone go off like that before. It's unreal. Anyone who hasn't seen it, there is a link there's going to be a link in the description of this video for you to go and check that out, because it is, honestly, it's unbelievable. It really is. You need to check it out and see this man in full flow, because it is unbelievable.
Well, I'm like that. Well, that's my reaction to games all my life. Now, people think I'm going to have a heart attack and everything. I just cracks. Even when I go to games in the Emirates Stadium, I cracks. I had two lads behind me. The last game I was at, two lads behind me with suits on. Sit the fuck down, mate. I said the two of you be lying down now in 2 seconds so you don't get away from me. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That's it. If you're not happy about it, go elsewhere. These lads were sitting back with suits on them, eating sandwiches that didn't care, Warren, because they were business people. I was there as a real fan, real passion, want my team to win.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the problem with some of these modern fans. They think that they're going there to watch the opera or something like that. No. Carl, I've also heard you talking about people turning up on your doorstep and giving you grief about your stance on the club and about the manager and stuff like that. What was that all about?
Yeah, that happened quite a few times, especially over the last few years, Warren. I was a big voice that time. I used YouTube as a platform years ago. I used to post videos about getting Wenger out. But I didn't have the following that I have now, and I didn't have the likes of yourself and Del Boy and all the great people that I've made through this community back then. So I felt I was just a voice on my own. So I gave up the videos after a while. But I never got much hassle about that. But ever since I started speaking out about Arteta and about the way the club is, I get not only abuse. So much so, Warren, that there's a few people that I actually know, that have been friends of mine for years. One particular fella, you probably see this, one particular fella who I built a relationship up with, became good friends. He's a Man United fan. He's actually a sports fan all around, like including our GA, our national sport here, which I have no interest in. But so he has a great knowledge of stuff, and I always respected him. And I spoke out one time about Arteta on Facebook, on Facebook, and he made a comment, and I wrote back a comment to him. And then I was on one of your show, Jason's show, someone's show, and I just said was a Man United fan had to say it. I didn't mention names or anything like that. I just said this Man United fan came in. Like, why not concentrate on Man United? Why get involved with Arsenal? And the next day, he texts me on Facebook for everyone to see, and he said, who were you referring to last night on the show? So I wrote underneath this, I'm referring to you. And I said, there was no need to be so ignorant. I said, I'm referring to you. And I gave him the option of meeting me and having a conversation about it. But instead of replying back to me, he blocked me. So he has me blocked off all social media. And this fella, I know for the last 15 years. And then there's another fella that was doing a lot of mouthing there one time as well. And I hope to God he's looking at this video. And once again, I'm not entitled to my opinion. And this fella doing mouthing here on my tongue. And then broadcasting all over Facebook, think he's going to get away with it. So I got to my car, Warren, and I drove up to his house and knocked his door. And I put it this way to you. He wouldn't put anything up on Facebook ever again about me. And that's that. And then I had another instance where I had two lads who stopped here in the local bridge, full of mouth. So listen, I'm not going to stand by and listen. Listen, I talk to anyone, Warren, but I'm not going to listen to anyone abuse me. So I walked over to Tom and I said to Tom, very easy, I said, there's a river in my town called River Slaney. It goes between two bridges. And I said to the two boys, pick a bridge. What do you mean? Pick a bridge. Because I said the two be going over it now, going for a little swim for yourselves. And that's that. And Warren, I'm going to speak out the way I speak. I never change. I talk to you the same way as I talk to Barack Obama. I don't care who you are, what you are. I'm Kyle, and this is the way I go on. And if someone has a problem about it, I always say, I have a chat with you. There's no problem.
No,
but
no,
don't
exactly.
abuse me and don't jeer me, because I don't abuse you and I don't jeer you. So when it starts going that way, well, then mean you're going to have some serious words about it, my friend. That's where I am.
No, 100%, Carl, and I rate it. I really do. I mean, I've had similar experiences myself, you know, with different people, and you know, they just don't like it. The fact that, you know, I've got an opinion that's not going with the mainstream, and I'm not sorry, but if I see that there's an issue, that I'm going to say it. I'm not just going to ignore it and not speak out.
Well, spot on,
Sorry, that's the way it works.
Spot on. And I put up things there on Facebook there about our Arteta and about Arsenal, the way Arsenal are. And in fairness, and I'm going to mention names here, I get a nightmare. Lads be, Warren, the abuse I get. But in fairness, this community sticks together. And I'm going to mention out a few lads that comes onto my Facebook page and defends me and tells it how it is. The real ones. Darren O'Sullivan, big up to him. TJ Warren, big up to him. Lads like that, Warren comes in and they defends me. And I remember that. And I'm fair play to him. But even Joanne, big up to Joanne. She comes in and says how it is as well on Facebook. So, Del Boy. Big up to Del Boy. But that's what I'm saying to you, Warren. Like, we have our own standard. Like, I'm going back to the beginning of this video. We were lucky enough to grow up with great players, great teams, great managers. We don't want to be looking at the crap that we're looking at for the last 20 years. We've been looking at the same crap this year because I'm saying it here again. We will not be winning no league title this season.
No, I want to talk to you in a bit more detail about that a bit later. But, mate, it is grating. Do you know what I mean? That we live in a society these days where if you've got an opinion that's slightly different or off key to the main, you know, the accepted narrative, then you're seen as a problem and people try and shut you down and whatnot. You know, it does worry me because, you know, I'm a big lover of history. Right? And if you go back in history to 1930s Germany, that's what happened there. And look how that ended up. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, people burning books and people getting sent to gas chambers and like world wars and, you know, it was horrific.
It's amazing.
So, it's a massive concern for me, mate, because it does make me wonder where it's all going to end.
Well, it's amazing that you're saying that, Warren, because I'm actually looking into going to Auschwitz.
Sorry, say that again?
It's amazing you're talking about Germany there in the World War and all, because I'm looking to go for a break to Auschwitz for a few days.
Oh, God, mate.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I've heard about people going there, and they said it is. It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about how nothing grows there, the birds don't sing, stuff like that. Mate, brace yourself before you go. I mean, it'll be interesting,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a bit full on, man.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, let's move on. So, when you've said about how when you were like very, very young, you were like a Liverpool fan because of your dad, and then you like saw Arsenal and you switched your allegiance to Arsenal. So when did you start watching football on a regular basis? Excuse me.
I'd say regularly I'd say 88, 89 season, I would have started to watch a lot more games than what I did in the previous season.
Mm.
And I remember the build-up to the Arsenal-Liverpool game in Anfield. And I remember those games. I remember the Hillsborough disaster one. I remember that really well. I remember my father crying on the chair, and I sitting beside him. And I was still young at the time, but I knew that I could still feel that empty feeling I had inside myself. As a child looking at that, it was like watching a movie. And it had an effect on us all. And when I grew up, when I became a teenager, or a few years later, I realised what it really meant. It meant more then, Warren, than what it did when I was only a kid. Do you know what I mean? So I was lucky enough, Warren, I was hitting the right age at the right time to witness the Hillsborough disaster. I wish to God I didn't have to witness that, but we did. And witness that great night in Anfield. I remember as clear as yesterday. And then obviously the following season, then I think it would have been where I really, really started watching all the games. And again, my father then, when the Premier League took start on Sky Sports, yeah, that's when it all really took off. Because we had not only football to watch then. So I was great, but I never missed a match of the day. I remember watching match of the day for years on end, still to this day. And my mom and dad separated. I'll give you an interesting story. My mom and dad separated, unfortunately, in 1989, November of 1989. And my mom basically gave me a choice to go with her to Dublin or stay in Enniscorthy with my dad. And I had to kind of decide that. I was only 10, 11 years of age at the time. But I decided to stay in Enniscorthy with my friends and my school. And when Mum was moving to Dublin, at that time, we didn't have cars and didn't go on holidays. I come from we came from a poor background, like, you know. And Dublin, she might be telling me that she was moving to Japan. I didn't know anything about Dublin at that particular time in my life. So we used to go up there to my mum to see my mum every second weekend. But I remember definitely the 93 season when we won the double. When we won the double cup competitions, the Coca-Cola Cup, I think it was at that time, and the FA Cup. And I can tell you from that season onwards, I think my mum would have been lucky to see us once every 3 weeks. And if my mum was here, she'd tell you that she made a lot of sacrifices for both of us, for both our love of football. So we would actually skip going to see my mum because Arsenal might have been playing on the Saturday, and I didn't want to miss the game because Mum didn't have Sky Sports. Or Man United could be playing someone on a Sunday, and my brother didn't want to go because he wanted to see Man United. So there was a lot of sacrifices throughout my childhood and my early teenage years, Warren. Not only going to visit my mother, but everything was affected. School was even affected. Midweek games. All was on my mind was, are we going to win? You know, Arsenal has been part of my life on a daily basis since 1986. Every day goes by when there's not a day goes by that Arsenal's not mentioned to me. And it's part of my life, Warren, and it's going to be part of my life forever. And, you know, that's it. And I'm actually getting a tattoo done for next season. I'm getting Highbury, the North Bank, and I'm getting Bergkamp underneath it looking up at us. And I have Thierry Henry, Robert Perez, and Patrick Vieira looking up at Dennis Bergkamp in the stadium. I get that tattooed on my arm this summer for next season. And because that's how much it means to me. The blood, it's in my blood, it's in my veins. I feel it. I want it. I live for it.
Fair play to you, mate. So these days, like when you're watching matches on the TV, what's your match day experience like? So, I mean, like Sky Sports, say, for example, Super Sunday, the game will kick off at 4:30, say. So let's just have a chat about what your day's like when, say, Arsenal are playing Manchester United live on Sky Sports, kick off 4:30. So how does your day revolve around that match, and what sort of things happen during the course of the day?
Yeah, well, for games like that, Warren, it all starts off throughout that week. So I start getting nervous about Man United, especially the Man United games. I start getting nervous probably on a Thursday evening. But what I would do, Warren, is I would be looking throughout the week. I'd be looking at Lee Gunner. I'd be looking at yourself. I'd be looking at Jays. I'd be looking at Diesel. I'd be looking at all these channels, listening to what everyone has to say and hyping myself up and getting out there my own stuff that I need to say and Del Boy and all that. And then it comes to basically the night before. So the Saturday night, I watch Match of the Day. I get a takeaway, watch Match of the Day. I'll go to bed, look at my phone, looking at all highlights of games. And then I get up the next morning, I have my breakfast. I might even go for a stroll. I come home, I ring my daughter, and I have a good chat with my daughter, and she knows the story, Warren, better than anyone, the way I am about Arsenal. And I tell her that I'll ring her after the game and all the rest of it. Then I ring my mother, and then I would ring my father, because I don't want any interruptions come 4 o'clock.
Exactly.
And then what I do then is I'd sit back, hopefully to be a game on before, because I watched the game beforehand. And then, Warren, I love the build-up. I will listen to the build-up. I'll be looking at everything, taking it all in detail. I try to get a bit of a dinner in me, but sometimes I wouldn't. I might wait till after the game because I'd be too excited. And then if I see one of my players hugging an opposition player, I'll be shouting, "What the fuck are you doing hugging him?" So I'm starting to get there. Then I go down the stairs and I put on the jersey. I put on my scarf. And I come up here, hit the surround sound button, sit back like a cinema screen, and have whoever, my brother or my nephew, will come down. Phone over in the corner. Don't want to hear me phone. Don't want to see it. Match kicks off, Warren. And then it's nothing but screaming, shouting, cursing, punching, kicking. I live for every second of them 94, 95 minutes. Then after the game, I listen to the interviews. Then I go and do shows with yourself and Del Boy and whoever else. And then I watch Match of the Day, then left that night and take it all in again. That's what I am, Warren. Football freak.
It sounds incredible, mate. It really does. And
it can be very intense, though, Warren. Very, very intense.
It is intense. And I just don't think people understand what it's like.
No.
I mean, when I was going regularly to Arsenal, right, I had a season ticket. And I had a season ticket in the North Bank. I remember coming home on a regular basis from watching Arsenal, both home and away, and I'd come home and I wouldn't be able to speak because my throat was that hoarse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And,
yeah,
I remember as well when I was like not able to get to the game and I was watching the games on the TV. A few days later, people would be coming up to my mum in the street and saying to me, "Is Warren all right? We heard a lot of shouting and screaming." And she said, "Yeah, it's just the football. Don't worry about it. I'll have a word with him."
Yeah. It's unbelievable, one. Like, people don't understand. Like, I was talking to a fella the other day for his what yesterday? Last Saturday. Matt says, "I see you on YouTube." He says, "Kyle, you lose the plot." But I said to him, "You don't understand what it's like when it's in your blood the way it's in my blood." My daughter is 13. God love her. Best in the world. And she loves, I went to the Emirates, I bought her a jersey with her name on it. So she wears it. And she'd be like, well, where are we now at the table? So she's all about where are we? And when I was telling her that we're number one, big smile on her face. And Warren, she said to me here the other day, Dad, she said, you know what? I said, what, Bob? I would love to see Arsenal in the Premier League just to see you happy. And I realised, Warren, there and then, it was like getting hit by Mike Tyson. I realised, since the day she was born to right now, I haven't witnessed Arsenal win the league title.
No, and it's shocking.
Shocking!
It's 19 years now.
Shocking!
It really is. It's terrible, and it is really depressing.
Yeah.
You know, and when I see the things that are going on, I just despair at what's going on at this club. Anyway, Cole, so during your years of watching football and being a football fan, did you ever meet any famous players, and what was that like for you?
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I've met a few of them, Warren. Number one, what I'm going to say is, number one, Paul McGrath, the famous Irish centre-back. Paul McGrath moved to a place called Ferns, which is literally 10 minutes drive away from my hometown here. But what was unbelievable was I was working on a coal lorry for a few years there. This going back about, Jesus, you're talking about a good 10 years ago now, Warren. And what's really unbelievable is Paul McGrath moved into the house beside the company that I worked for. And one day I was they had a shop as well where I worked. So one day I went into the shop, and who was there? Only Paul McGrath. So they introduced me to him. So I was talking about to him anyway and all the rest of it, and he said to me, sure, I'll see you again, Kyle. And I said, yeah, no problem. Lovely fella. And what happened was, Warren, I was lucky enough, what happened was, we built up a good friendship. And myself and Paul McGrath now will be good friends. I can call out to his house there if I wanted to. He's a Chelsea fan. And he'd have no problem at all talking about to me. I actually even played a soccer match with him for a charity event. And I went out, he asked me, he rang me, he said, can you come up and collect me? I went out and I collected him. And we went in my car. We drove down to the match, got out, went into the dressing room, got talked out, and the two of us went out. We played a football game together. So I can always say that I played with Paul McGrath. And great experience, great man, top-notch fella. Couldn't speak any higher of me. Lovely, lovely gentleman. You wouldn't think he was the football player that he was, Warren. There's no snobbishness about him. He doesn't think that he's better than anyone else. He's just an ordinary fella. Then I got a phone call. I was working with the same company, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine working in a hotel called Ferry Carrick here in Wexford. And she says to me, Kyle, your hero is down here at a wedding. I said, who? Ian Wright. This was back in the day now when Ian Wright was playing, was a legend for us. And he's not a legend anymore as far as I'm concerned. But I came home, took a shower, got dressed into a suit. And I was after telling the woman that we used at the time to get a dress on her and whatever, going to a wedding. So we went down, 2 bunches on the door, and I said, the invites, asked for the invites. And I said to the woman, have you got any the invitations? And she said, oh, I left them up on the table, blah, blah, blah. The 2 boys looked at us and said, go on. So I remember Ian Wright coming up along, Warren, and I just said, what am I going to say to him? And I just said, hiya, Ian, as he walked past me. I was like, can I see you for a minute? I was a nervous wreck. And he said to me, give me a minute, mate. And he went to the bar. And I remember he got Coke and vodka. And he came back to me. And he said, where are you sitting? And I said, nowhere. I said, come with me. And I sat down at his table, me and Ian Rice. And we spoke about Arsenal for 45 minutes. And I will say this, he spoke to me for 45 minutes, Warren. And I think I showed the picture there on one of the shows there lately. Big, massive picture of me and Ian Wright together, hugging each other. I have it framed. He was nothing but lovely to me at that particular night. He told me about Dennis Bergkamp. He talked to me about Tony Adams. But he also told me that he feared for Arsenal, that he thought that Arsenal was not going to win anything for many, many years. The man has proved right. But it was a great night. Obviously, the break copped on to me. The two lads came over, asked me to leave. I didn't want to cause a scene. And Ian Wright actually walked out, spit me out to the front door of the hotel, shook my hand, and off we went. Yeah, no, fair play to him, Warren. I don't like what he's doing now at the moment. PR for Arsenal. I'm talking shit. I say it as it is. But that night in particular, when I met him in Furry Carrick at the wedding, nothing but I couldn't fault him. He was lovely to me. I met Dave Bassett. I was up in Mayo in a hotel for a weekend, and Dave Bassett, he was the goalkeeper for Southampton, wasn't he?
That's right.
Wasn't he like that?
Dave Besant.
Dave Besant, big tall fella. So I met him up in the hotel, and I just said to him, went over, shook his hand, and a big fella, and I said to him that Letizia was one of my favourite players. And he just said to me, Macho can do things with a ball that the rest of us can only dream of. That's what he said to me. And that was only it. I didn't stay long. That was all I said to him. And I walked away. So yeah, who else have I missed? I've met them, and am I missing anyone there night, am I? Paul McGrath, Ian Rice, Dave Bassett. I met Pat Jennings up in Dublin Airport. Be the Lord. A pair of hands on like shovels. And he still had the like the 1970s hairstyle. And he was there, two fellas. And yes, he was lovely to me. I just walked over to him. He was having a few drinks with his friends. I was going on holidays. And I just said to him, sorry to interrupt you there, Pat. I said, I'm an Arsenal fan, you're a legend, and I'd just like to shake your hand. And he said, no problem. And there was a chair beside him, an empty chair, and he asked me to sit down on it. And I sat down on it, and I spoke to him for about 15 minutes about Arsenal and where I think Arsenal is going. And very interesting fella, lovely fella. Again, can't fault him. And then his flight was mentioned or something like that, and him and the two lads stood up and he said, I better go now. And I said to him, it was an honour to meet you, Pat. He shook my hand, he walked off. I have a big hand, but believe you me, it was like a baby hand in his hand. So, yeah, Pat Jennings, Niall Queen, I met Niall Queen. And I'm going to tell you now, when we're talking about players, I'm going to tell you this, because it can go the other way as well, Warren. I went into a coffee shop up in Wicklow, and a certain legend Irish football player that goes by the name of Damien Duff, which I never read it, to be honest with you. But anyway, I witnessed a horrific thing. Wouldn't sign an autograph. So me and Damien Duff, we had words exchanged. I'll put it that way to you. So it can work both ways, Warren. You know what I mean? So some are sound and they give you your time, and then others are just pricks, and he's one of them.
Yeah, mate. There's some interesting stories there.
Well, I'm going to tell you another thing too, Warren. I'm going to tell you a very interesting story. And it's a story I think people would be interested in. I was lucky enough, Warren. I played football. I was spotted down here in Wexford playing football, and I was picked up by a team called St. Joseph's in Sallynoggin in Dublin, in the Dublin Irish Youth Soccer League. And when I went up to play with them, what age was I? About 14 or 15, like?
15 or 16.
I was about 15 at the time. And when I went up to him, you see, Warren, I was the centre forward. And here in Wexford, in the Wexford League, I'd be getting into position. But the lads will kick the ball over to the far corner flag, and you have to sprint about 50 yards to get to the ball, and then to be hitting it to the other side of the field. You know, it was horrific football. But when I went to Dublin, it was all ground football. And it was a different ball game, different league. It took me by surprise. But I was lucky enough to play with some gifted players. And one of them was called, his nickname was Gaza. And I could never understand why they call him Gaza, because he was left back. But then one day, he went into left wing. And I understood why they called him Gaza then. Because this fellow would turn 6 or 7 players, go one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and instead of shooting, he turned around and come back up to beat the 6 or 7 players again. He was absolutely Unbelievable. 2 players stood out to me. He's one of them. And a fella called Trevor Malloy. Del Boy probably knows Trevor Malloy. But I tell you about this fella first. This Gaza fella first. He was that good. He's from Tala in Dublin. He was that good that Alex Ferguson and Brian Keane were flying over from Manchester to Dublin on regular basis, keeping in touch with him and his parents. They were bringing him over, and the rumour was at that particular time that he was going to challenge Giggs for left wing. He was that good. And this particular day, we had a little party for him, and he was travelling to Manchester on a Friday. So we had the party on the Wednesday. So I said my goodbyes to him and wished him the best of luck on the Wednesday. On the Thursday, he was at home in his house in Tala, and his favourite dinner was pancake. He loved pancakes. So here's the story. The mother asked him to run down to the local shop to get milk to make the pancakes. When he went to the local shop, on his way back, one of his mates was going down on a push bike and shouted over to him, "Guys, the best of luck tomorrow," and all the rest of it. This fella had the makings of making it. He was that good. Then he walked out in between 2 cars and got hit by a van. Paralysed from the chest down for the rest of his life. Now, the thing is that fella was going over to Manchester on the Ferguson and Brian Keane's wing to challenge Giggs for his position. And the difference is that chap ended up paralysed from the waist from the chest down, and Giggs ended up being the most decorated footballer in British history.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, this Trevor Malloy fella that I'm telling you about he used to have curtain hairstyle. He was playing with St. Pat's in the Irish League. He was he was brilliant. He was sensational. Destroyed himself for cocaine. He could have went to England, could have been one of the best. Fucked it all up.
It's really sad, isn't it, sometimes?
But there's some players out there, you see, I always go back to the story that Pele once said. Pele was in an interview one time, and a fella said to him, "What's it like being known as the best player in the world?" And Pele simply turned around and he said, "I played with players on the beaches of Brazil that were twice as good as I am. They just weren't spotted than I was. That's the difference." And that goes back to the likes of Gaza, Trevor Malloy, and all these other players that I played with and saw. All gifted players.
Yeah.
But just didn't have the right breaks. Like Roy Keane once said, it's not all about talent. It's all about the right doors open for you, the right connections. And that's the truth of it.
No,
Kevin Doyle is a perfect example. Kevin Doyle is from Adamstown. 10 minutes up the road there. That's where Kevin Doyle is from.
See,
and Kevin Doyle, who had Mick Wallace here, was the county manager, the county Wexford manager, and he was a powerful businessman. But Mick Wallace, through his connections, got Kevin Doyle across to England. Now, Kevin Doyle scored a few goals. Don't get me wrong. He scored a few goals, not rested, but he's a very average player. I played with players here in the Wexford League that were twice the better player than he was, but never got the opportunity because of the people that didn't know. So football is a strange thing, Warren. Not always the base of the base gets to the top, like.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go to school with a fella called John Salaka. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a player for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
He won a couple of England caps, and he was a pundit for a while on Sky Sports.
I remember him, yeah.
Yeah. There were kids at our school who were way, way better than him.
Yeah.
Right? Seriously. But the thing that John had was that he was completely and utterly dedicated to being a footballer, whereas the others weren't so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wanted to go out chasing girls, partying, but John never did that.
Yeah.
So that was why he got the breaks. There was one young fellow who was in same age as me, bloke called Paul Quinton. He was absolutely brilliant. He got picked up by Millwall. And before he got picked up by Millwall, he was a striker. Right? He would score 6-7 goals in one game easily. Right? he got picked up by Millwall, and all of a sudden he started playing in the defence as a sweeper. And I was thinking, what's going on? I remember a few of us were chatting to him one day, and we were saying to him, why do you keep playing in defence? And he says, it's because Millwall, they want me to learn how to be a sweeper because they want to use me as a sweeper. So I thought, okay, well, fair enough. And that's what happened. But he never made it, you know.
No.
But, yeah, John, I remember John. And my claim to fame is that I nutmegged him once in a game. But, Carl, I was going to ask you about you as a player, whether you played football or not. But it sounds like you was telling me some stories there about that.
Yeah, I played football, Warren. Yeah, I played football for a team here called the Shamrock Rovers here in my local Wexford team. And I was a striker. I scored a lot of goals. I always had a good shot on me. I admit that I wouldn't have been a runner. I was quite lazy. But I always had the ability that I was able to score from 30 yards out. Or, you know, I was always able to do that little bit different than anyone else. And, like, I played a lot of street football. That's where I first learned football with my brother and my friends. My brother was a very good football player too. A midfielder. My brother would. Lads always say that if I had the heart that my brother had, I could have went places because he put the neck on the line. Where I wouldn't even go in for a challenge. I was just one of those clean cut players. I remember I remember one time playing in a game in the Wexford League, Sunday morning league football. And the field was a farmer field, absolutely mucked to the eyeballs after lashing rain for the whole week, playing against a crowd of farmers. Went down and I remember the manager saying to me, we used to wear a green and white jersey, like the Celtic jersey, green and white jersey with white shorts, white stockings. And I remember the manager saying to me, now, Kyle, I want to see some dirt on the shorts. And we played the full 90 minutes of that game of football, Warren, and I walked out the field with not one bit of muck on my whole jersey. And that's the type of player I was. But I scored 2 goals that day. That's just who I am. So I was lucky enough then, Warren. I went up and I played with St. Joseph's. Now, what happened was, when I left my local team to play in Dublin, well, certain lads didn't like it. Because certain lads thought they should have been there. So, yeah. So, basically, Warren, I played at a good standard in Dublin, scored a few good goals. St. Pat's in the Irish League was interested. I went over, I played against Kilkenny in a practice game with him and in Inchicore in Dublin. And I came home, and the fucking facts of the matter is I was lazy out. And not only that, but I got injured and I have bad legs, bad legs, Warren, since then. And that's what kind of stopped me from playing, because the pain and the agony. But when I did come back, my local team here, Shamrock Rovers, they just didn't accept me anymore, Warren. They turned their backs on me. I remember going back to them, actually. And I remember playing pre-season and practice matches against each other, training sessions. And all it done was they all went out to break me up. They put in tackles on me. I'll tell you, it was horrific. And I ended up arguing and fighting with lads. And then I remember one day we played this game, Warren. I'll tell you what happened. What finished me with football, really. I went down to play a game, and I knew I was a good player. I know I was. And to have me as the one, there was 12 players. And the centre forward that they had wouldn't score if he was there all day. But not only that, but he had an injury. He was limping. He wasn't able to play. And they played him and left me as a sub. And what happened after the game, we all came home. They didn't even bring me on. They left me as a sub for the whole game. So, and we got bet 5-0 by the way that day. So we came home anyway, and what I done was I called up to the manager's door that night. And he came out, he's now Sad Dobbs, came out, and I just said to him, Sir, listen, is there any point me turn up in the field again, ever again? And he just looked at me and said, no. And I said, that's okay, at least you're up front with me. I walked out the door, and I never, ever, ever sat foot in my local pitch since then. That's 10 years, maybe 12 years ago. Sad, because I could have, because they achieved the last. My local team won Premier League titles here in Wexford. They won some cups, some good players down there. I would have enjoyed this, both between the pain and the operations I've had on my legs, Warren, and being mistreated the way I was mistreated, and a bit of jealousy along the way because of where I got to and they didn't. I'd rather stay out of the field.
No, I don't blame you, mate, because that must have been difficult for you, though.
Difficult, and the other thing is, and I'm not saying that they did. I'm not saying anyone did this now. I'm not blaming anyone or accusing anyone, but I did often enter my mind, was it because I was a bit different? As in my mother being black African, and I just often thought maybe a few of them had something about that. No, I'm not saying they did. Not accusing anyone or blaming, but when you're a bit different, when you do look at things like that too sometimes. Maybe I just wasn't one of them, and I do know that they all drink, they all hang out together, they have a clique, they all get on together. Listen, I never had any problems with them, and all right, I wish them all the best. But I wouldn't be I'm one of these lads. I could walk into the pub tonight now, and they could be all there, and they all say hi, Kyle, and we talk about football and all the rest of it. But I know I'm not wanted there. So I stay away from it. So I was never part of the clique. I was never one of the lads. I suppose my football career kind of suffered because of it. That is what it is, Warren. I get on with this man. I played good games. I scored good goals. I won a few league titles. I won a few cups. I scored a hat-trick in a cup final here. Never done before or since. So I hold me on. I hold me head high. And yeah. And I love the game. And I'm passionate for the game. And that's it.
No, but listen, guys, you can see how passionate this man is and the great stories he's got to tell about football and being a football fan. So please make sure that you go and subscribe to his channel, Kyle Walsh Gunner. The link for his channel is in the description. And make sure when you watch his videos, you put a like on it, the little thumbs up button. Make sure you do that. And because this man is an absolute legend, and he deserves way more followers and subscribers than what he's getting. So, Carl, we were talking about your meeting with Ian Wright, and that must have been incredible. But what other players did you like or dislike when you were growing up?
Yeah. I loved Ian Wright. Obviously, for all yourself, sure, he was a brilliant player, brilliant goal scorer. I remember Tony Adams. But let's get something straight here. And I'm going to say this with pure passion because that's how I feel about the whole situation. And actually, it saddens me, actually. My favourite player of the whole album was David Rocastle. May he rest in peace. I absolutely adored David Rocastle. Rocky was a sensational football player. And by all accounts, he was a gentleman off the field as well. So Rocky will be my number one. Ian Wright, Tony Adams. Love Tony Adams. Love David Seaman in goal. I loved Andrea Stimpar. Even Steve Bold, I always thought was very underrated. Brilliant player. Martin Keown, brilliant player. Lee Dixon. The list goes on. Nigel Winterborn. All those players. Even Jan Jensen. I even enjoyed watching Jan Jensen. But the likes of Steve Morrow now, when fellas like that, forget about them fellas. But growing up, I suppose Letitia would be, I'm not just going to say Arsenal players. My favourite players were always the likes of Letitia, the likes of Alan Shearer. Tosh Shearer was a great player, great goal scorer. I loved David Ginola. Loved him. Gianfranco Zola. I always loved the flair players, the skillful player, Cantona, football genius. I loved all those lads. Paul Gascoigne. He was absolutely unreal. How lucky were we to see Diego Maradona playing at his peak powers? Brilliant.
No, exactly.
So I was blessed to see those kind of great players. Even the likes of what was his name? The fellow at the Middlesbrough, the Brazilian, Jorginho or
Emerson.
No. Remember the small fella?
Juninho.
John, he was a brilliant player. I loved all those type of players, you know, brilliant players, full of skill. The cameo for West Ham, brilliant players. But then when you're talking about the elites of the elites, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Cantona, as far as I'm concerned, you're not going to get three better foreign players than them in British football. They were sensational players.
No, they were 100%, mate. 100%. And
No.
so looking at Arsenal, right? Who do you think was Arsenal's greatest ever player, Carl?
Yeah, for me, it's a big toss-up. People, I always have this argument. You're talking, listen, for me, the two names is always Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp. Now, some people will go Thierry Henry and other people will go Dennis Bergkamp. And it is a toss-up, and it's a great argument to have. But for me, personally speaking, the greatest player ever to play for Arsenal Football Club is Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
Now, people say to me, well, what about Thierry Henry? And my answer would simply be, yes, Thierry Henry, legend. Great, great player. But how many goals did Bergkamp set up for?
You know, that's true. That's true.
Bergkamp was absolutely... I remember going to see Arsenal-Liverpool in Highbury Stadium. And I sat in the East Stand. And we won that game 1-0. I think it was the game that Jamie Carragher got sent off. A fan hit him with a coin. He picked up the coin and threw it back into the crowd. And Bergkamp scored a header. We won the game 1-0. And I remember sitting there in the East Stand. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Absolute football genius. And I remember Henry getting the ball that day down the flank. And he hit the ball about 20 yards ahead of him. And he left Steven Gerrard and Carragher in the dust for speed. I never saw anything like it. And Big Patrick in midfield. It was an honour to watch these great players. And then I remember standing, we spoke the other night about the West Brom game. I think it was Bergkamp's last game in Highbury. And we were getting based. If my mind serves me right, I was in the North Bank, about 5 seats up from the goal. We were getting back 2-0, and the ball on Robert Perez, one of my all-time favourite Arsenal players, and Dennis Bergkamp. And we won the game. Perez scored, and Bergkamp scored a wonder goal from 30 yards out into the top corner. And I remember standing on the North Bank, roaring my eyes out. I remember distinctly roaring my eyes out like a baby. That's the God honest truth. How lucky have I been to be able to say that in my lifetime I've been in Highbury and the Emirates Stadium, saw all those fantastic players, Tony Adams, Lee Dixon, Winterburn, Seaman, Vieira, Ian Rice, Henry, Bergkamp, Perez, even Antonio Reyes, God help him. How lucky have I been? And Nicholas Anelka, Petit, Overmars, Wiltord. I'm not seeing them all. How lucky. Fabregas. In 2006, I went over to the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff to watch us in the Carling Cup final against Chelsea. The game that Walcott scored and John Terry swallowed his tongue. And Chelsea bet us 2-1. Didier Drogba destroyed Senderos twice. But I had dinner with Sammy Nelson and Charlie George before the game and went down the pitch side with the two of them and watched the cup final with the two of them. I was at to win the VIP tickets. Charlie George, gentleman, full of vodka, bursting vodka over us. Sammy Nelson, brilliant character, great laugh with him. But I witnessed that game. Cesc Fabregas was absolutely sensational in that game. He destroyed Lampard. He was brilliant in that game. So I look back on that one as an Irishman here in Southeast, Wexford. And yeah, I've been very lucky in my lifetime that I witnessed games in Highbury and the Emirates, witnessed the cup final, and witnessed some of the best players ever to put the Arsenal jersey on. How lucky have I been?
No, exactly, mate. And I feel the same about it. But there's one player that you haven't mentioned at all yet. And then I think it may be because he was a bit before your time. But I need to ask you, did you ever see Liam Brady play?
Never saw Liam Brady. He was just a bit before my time. But I did see highlights of him, and he was brilliant.
Mate, the guy was. When I was started watching Arsenal, I remember him, and he was different class. He was, and I remember his last ever game for Highbury, and seeing him come up to the North Bank, and he was in tears, and I honestly don't think he wanted to go. I think if they could have worked out something to enable him to stay, and they built a team around him that was capable of winning cups and titles, I think he would have stayed. But it didn't happen, and he left. And I remember seeing him, mate, like I say, in tears, and it really upset me, and it still upsets me to this day because I loved the fella.
Yeah,
I really did, and he deserved to win titles, and that was why in '89 when I remember watching Arsenal win the title at Anfield, I remember seeing David O'Leary crying on the pitch. Now there is a proper Arsenal man, true and true. You won't get a much bigger Arsenal man than him.
100%.
And seeing him in tears, it just made me realise how much that guy loved Arsenal.
Yeah.
He was, and if I could get him, if I was only allowed to change one thing at Arsenal, it would be to bring him in to the management structure, because I know damn well he would not allow the nonsense that's going on at this club to carry on.
And there's odd nonsense, let me tell you.
You know? But anyway, Carl, so what do you think? We talked about Arsenal's greatest ever player, but who do you think, what do you think was Arsenal's greatest ever achievement?
Yeah, the greatest ever achievement. Now, you see, you're talking about a couple of things there. You're talking about the double in the early 70s. You're talking about the doubles there in 98. You know, the double, very hard thing to do is win the double. But then we're talking about going to Anfield and beating a great Liverpool team to win the league title and had to win by 2 goals. Then we're talking in 94 going to Parma, beating Parma in Copenhagen in the Cup Winners' Cup. But then we're talking about, which I think, when you look on it, it has to be their greatest achievement. To go a season undefeated, Warren, has to be the greatest achievement.
Because
Alex Ferguson once said, I've won a lot of things in the game, but he said nothing tops going a season undefeated.
It's true, because it just doesn't happen. It's only ever happened 3 times, right? Arsenal did it. Then Preston did it when, like, the first season of English football, when it was first created. And Liverpool did it as well, but not many people know this, but they did it like towards the end of the 19th century, I think. When they were playing in the 2nd division, they went a whole season unbeaten. But back then, the amount of games you'd have to play, I think they'd only played about 24 games. But even so, to go a whole season undefeated is just an incredible achievement.
Absolutely.
It is. And, you know, when Preston did it as well, the difference was when they did it, they won all their cup games as well.
Yeah.
They were beating teams 7, 8, 9, you know, but obviously they didn't have so many league games, but, you know, because the league was smaller and so on and so forth. But to go a whole season unbeaten, it stands out because it's such an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, Carl, I'm not sure we're gonna see it happen for a long time. I think there are teams that are capable of doing it. For example, I think Man City are more than capable of doing it. But Arsenal, no, I can't see Arsenal doing it for a long time.
No. I don't think we're going to ever see it again. Not for a long time. Maybe not in our lifetimes.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. So, and so talking about greatest ever achievements, what do you think? What Arsenal team do you think was the greatest ever team that the club has had?
We've had some great teams. I think we've had some great teams, but if I have to, that Invincible team was a brilliant team, Warren. Both the 89 team going to Anfield was some team as well. I'd love to see a game between the two of them. But if I have to say, I would probably go for the... But then again, the 1998 double winning team was brilliant as well.
What about the 91 team, Carl?
The 91 team was absolutely brilliant as well. Should only got beat once.
Yeah.
George Graham in charge as well, you have to take in consideration. I think George Graham is probably our best ever manager. But Jesus Warren, it will be the 91 or the Invincibles. I'm trying to think back. Jesus. I think I might go for the... I think I'll go for the Invincibles one.
Fair play. Because they played, the football they played as well was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was brilliant to watch. And so in that Invincible team, who was your favourite player, Carl?
Fuck. For that season itself, sure, who would you go for? I just thought Vieira was brilliant. Colo Torre was brilliant too in centre back. I thought Torre was brilliant that season. Who else? Perez. Fuck. I don't know. You see, I say I'll go for Vieira, I think.
Vieira.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was a great player, a great leader as well. And when he left, we missed him. We really did.
Who was your favourite player in that team?
In that team?
Yeah.
Probably Dennis.
Sure, Dennis was class, I did say Dennis is the best ever player at Arsenal in Arsenal's history. But for the Invincible, I don't know. I just thought Vieira was immense that season. And his captaincy and his leadership and top of the range.
For me, I would love to have seen. I know it never would have happened. I know it wasn't possible because it was different ages. I would have loved to see Liam Brady playing in that team.
Should be unbelievable.
It would, and it just... I just think he left too soon. I absolutely loved the guy. There were two players when I was growing up. I absolutely loved them. It was him, Liam Brady, and the other one was Brian Talbot. That fella never stopped running all game long. From the first minute to the last minute, he would never, ever stop working. And I really rate that. I really like it. Hard-working players, industrious players, because they give their all. Do you know what I mean? And, they never stop trying, and that goes a long way with me, I have to say.
Absolutely. Warren, I'm just trying to think there. What age is Brian Talbot?
Sorry?
What age would Brian Talbot be?
What team was he in?
No, what age?
Jesus. So he came to Arsenal in 79. So I would say he would be would have been in about his mid-20s. So that would have made him 19. Say he was 25 when he came, to make it easier. So that would have been, he would have born in about 54. So now That would have been. So he'd be nearly 70 now.
Yeah. Jesus, that's it. I'm unbelievable how the years goes by so quick.
Yeah,
You know, you see highlights of these players, and they're all old men now, like, you know.
He played in the 79 season. He played in the 1980 season. You know, it was just incredible. So, Carl, let's talk about modern football. So, how do you feel about VAR, Carl?
I think it's a shambles. I
What
think
is
it's
it you don't
disgusting.
like about it, mate?
I think they're getting more decisions wrong than right. And this business, like, they always said that to give the centre forward, you know, a little bit better of a chance to make the game more exciting. But no, if their fingernail is off the line, they're offside. Like, then when they're scoring goals, Warren, you're afraid to jump up and let rip, you know, with celebrations because you're afraid that they might see something, they might cancel it. And I think it's after making a complete and utter mess of the game. And I think that referees, like, they're not being helped. They're making it more harder and harder on referees, especially with penalties. This penalty decision thing, that's destroying it as well.
I know.
The one thing that I thought the football did so good was when we were growing up watching football, Warren, the players were allowed to pass the ball back to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper was allowed to pick the ball up. I think it was a great thing when they got rid of that because it made the goalkeeper have to kick the ball. It hurries up, speeds up the game. But this VAR thing is an absolute joke. There was nothing wrong with the way it used to be. Bring it back the way it used to be. Too much technology.
So, Carl, what do you think is the problem? Do you think it's the technology that's the problem? Or do you think it's the people using the technology?
I think it's the
because I personally think it's the people using the technology because they haven't got a clue what they're doing. I think the technology is fine. It's the way it's being interpreted is the problem.
Warren, I was looking at an interview there today of Harrison Ford talking about the new Indiana Jones film. And
So
they were asking him, I was looking at an interview with Harrison Ford today talking about the new Indiana Jones film.
Right.
And they were asking him to de-age them. So they made him look younger in a section of the film. So they were asking him about technology. So Harrison Ford summed it up. He said that there's nothing wrong with the technology. It's what happens when the technology is used by the wrong people.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening with VAR. It's been used by the wrong people. Why the fuck can they not get ex-players to become referees? That played the game, that knows the game. You know what I mean, Warren?
Yeah, I do, 100%, and I agree with you. Because, you know, when I see the way it draws the lines and all of this carry on, that's fine. But the problem is that the people, when they're interpreting it, they're not using their brains, or if they are, they're making wrong decisions on what they're seeing. I just think these people, they need to be trained properly.
Yeah.
And, you know, there needs to be more accountability for the decisions they're making.
Yeah.
And if they're constantly messing up, should be any other line of business. That, you know, I'm sorry, but if you keep messing it up, they've got to go. Simple.
100%. Yeah.
You know, so let's look forward now to the new season that is coming, right? How do you feel Arsenal will get on in the new season, Carl?
I think we're going to struggle. I don't see us getting top 4. That's my honest opinion. I think that we had a great chance last season, Warren. And I think because the other teams were all, you know, they weren't their usual selves. Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. We had an unbelievable chance last season and we blew it.
Yeah.
And I don't see us doing much better, Warren. Listen, we're talking about Timber. We're talking about Declan Rice. We're talking about Kai Havertz. We got Kai Havertz, But my question to you, Warren, is he really an upgrade on what we already have? As far as I'm concerned, he's not. So we just wasted 65 million on a player that I think is not good enough.
No, 100%, mate. I agree with you. I don't understand why we bought him. I don't understand where he's going to play. I think if he is going to play in our team, we'll have to change the formation. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Right? You know, all his career, he's played either as a forward player or an attacking midfielder. Now, we've got Odegaard, who, in my opinion, is not good enough and goes missing all the time.
Yeah.
We now got this fella.
Yeah.
And he never scores. He rarely assists. And I'm just thinking, well, what is he going to do?
Warren, let me tell you something. 3 years at Chelsea. His record is this: 19 goals, 7 assists. In 3 years of football at Chelsea, with top-class players around him.
Mm.
And people are saying to me, when I'm speaking out about him, give the man a chance, he was brilliant in Germany. I'd be brilliant in Germany. The Bundesliga is a joke.
But he wasn't that good in Germany. The record in Germany wasn't much better than what it was in Chelsea.
So these guys talks rubbish, Warren. The same with this Timber. For let me tell you something about Timber. Timber is playing in the Dutch league. We play in the Dutch league. Let's see how good he is when it comes to the Premier League. Is he going to be an upgrade on Saliba and Gabriel? Is he going to be an upgrade on Kiavor and Rob Holding, even though I know Rob Holding could be going to Galatasaray, hopefully. But the thing is this Timber fella going to come in and be the new Tony Adams? Is Harvard's going to set the Premier League alight? Is Declan Rice going to come into midfield, be a general in midfield, and dominate midfield in big, massive, important games when it matters? Is he going to roll up his sleeves and be a new Patrick Vieira? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. The games where I've seen it, I watched him in that Europa Conference League final. And what I saw was the fella went missing. I can't remember him having more than 2 touches of the ball. And I remember, and this guy, we're paying £100 million for him.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I remember back in the day when Cesc Fabregas was 17, he was running matches.
Yeah.
Running them. If I'm paying £100 million for a player, I expect that as a minimum.
Yeah.
Him to be running the midfield. Because if you're playing as a defensive midfield player, then everything starts from you. You're the one that launches the attacks.
Yeah.
You get the ball off the defenders and then bang, you spray it around.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest defensive midfield player that I ever saw was a Croatian player called Zvonimir Boban.
Brilliant player. Brilliant player.
He was incredible. Everything started from him in that Croatian national team and AC Milan team and there were other massive clubs that he played for. He would spray the ball out all over the park, right? I just cannot see Declan Rice doing it. Whenever he's played for England, like when they come up against a decent side, they fail. They lost against France. They lost against Croatia. Like 2 big tournaments. And when they come up against big opposition, big countries, they fail.
Yeah.
And I just can't see it, mate. I can't. I don't know what all the fuss is about. I don't think he's that great. I think he's overpriced. And after what people have told me about what happened with when he was a youngster in the Irish national team, I've got serious concerns about his loyalty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does well at Arsenal.
Yeah.
If in 2 years' time, if Real Madrid come knocking,
Yeah.
Barcelona come knocking, it'll be say one of these big Saudi teams comes knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Offering him and putting a big check under his nose, that'll be off.
No. Shambles, as far as I'm concerned, shambles.
No.
We failed last season with the squad that we had. And with the addition of these 3 players, I think we will fail again. And I think the other teams around us will get stronger. Man United will be stronger. Liverpool will be stronger. Liverpool will do good business in this transfer window. I think Man City will be stronger. They're doing business as well. I think Chelsea, I think Pochettino will do a job at Chelsea. And then you have the likes of Emery with Aston Villa. You have Brentford. You have Brighton. They're all playing good football.
Yeah.
I actually don't see us in the top 4.
See, the thing is as well, at the tail end of the season, like the season that's just finished, I got a feeling that teams were starting to work Arsenal out.
Yeah.
And because we were conceding 2s and 3s all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Is Timber going to come in now and show up shop like that? I don't think so.
No, exactly. So, looking forward then to the new season, what do you think Arsenal need to do in order to be successful this coming season?
For me, Warren, they're going to have to get no goal scorer.
Yeah, me too.
I think we need a striker who's going to bang 25, 30 goals.
Yeah.
If we don't get a striker of that quality, of that caliber, and we're relying on Jesus and Eddie Nketiah, forget about it. Just forget about it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
We need a 25, 30 goal score. That's what we need.
Yeah. Any other areas of the pitch you think need reinforcing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think right back position. I think centre back position. I think left back is in an office there. I don't know if Tierney is staying. Is he going? Don't know what's that. If he does stay, is he going to play? If Tierney is playing left back, fair enough. I think Shevchenko is a nightmare left back. I think Garby Island is a good player. He's a good player, but he's not going to win any Premier League titles. Saliba got a bad injury there, out for a long time. Is he going to come back as good as he was? You know, questions have to be asked. Ben White had a decent season, don't get me wrong. It was a decent season, where the way the fan base is talking, you swear he was the next Cafu. He had a decent season.
Yeah, the thing is, that season, I still maintain that as soon as they qualified, they got Champions League qualification in the bag, they just shut up shop.
They did.
They stopped really trying.
Yeah.
I don't think players bottled it. I think that Arteta, it came from Arteta that's it. We've got Champions League. We've done what we set out to do. That's it. We don't need to do anything else. And that's what I think happened. Because it happened the year before. The same thing. The same thing happened the season before. As soon as we qualified, we got Europa League qualification in the bag. The form dropped off. And it happened this season as well. If it happens once, maybe. But to happen 2 years running tells me there's something fishy going on.
Yeah. And that's why...
and I've looked at it and I just think it's something not right at that club.
Yeah.
Something seriously wrong. I want it investigated. I do.
And we will fail again next season.
Yeah. So, where do you think we're going to finish, Carl?
5th or 6th. Outside top 4 anyway.
Yeah, that's what I think. So, in order for your team, in order for Arsenal to, for you to call it a successful season next season for Arsenal, what would they need to do in order for you to call it a successful season?
Right. As far as I'm concerned, Premier League title has to be won. No excuse. If you're spending 100 million on a player and 65 million on another player and 40 million on another player, and as I start spending 300 something million on other players that you have to bring into the club, you have to start bringing silverware to the dressing room. Premier League, number one. Then I want us to get into the quarter-final, semi-final of the Champions League. And I want us to bring back home the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. Now, that's a successful season for me. If they don't win the Premier League, and if they don't get out of the group stages of the Champions League, I want Arteta and the rest of them gone.
Do you think that he right? So for me, he should be gone already. We should never have appointed him. But if this season, what do you think would be the tipping point? What would, for the board and the owners, what would you think would spark them wanting to get rid of him?
I think maybe come Christmas, after the Christmas break, if we haven't qualified in the Champions League to the next stages, and we find ourselves 5th or 6th or 7th in the Premier League, maybe then they might start looking. But I don't know, Warren. I honestly don't know. I don't think this fucking board would do anything at all. I think they're happy with Arteta. The fan base are delighted with Arteta. So they're going to keep filling the stadium, so the Tranquillos are going to be happy.
See, the thing is, I agree with you. I think that is the problem. All the time he's doing what they tell him to do, and all the time the stadium is full up, and he's got this deluded, brainwashed fan base supporting him, because I do believe they've been brainwashed by this club and the PR and the marketing, right? I do believe that. I think they're in a deliberate ploy to brainwash these supporters into accepting him, right? All the time that's happening, and he's like bringing in the club are like making money and they're not losing money. I don't think they're going to sack him, because I think they're more interested in the revenue streams than they are winning trophies.
Yeah,
I 100% believe it. I don't think they're bothered about whether we win titles or not, because when people question me about it, I always go back to that quote of Stan Kroenke when he bought the club, right? And he was questioned about Arsenal, why he bought it, and about winning trophies. And he turned around and said, listen, I didn't buy Arsenal to win trophies. That, to me, that was a massive red flag. As soon as he said that, I thought, no, you're not the right man for this club.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is a massive red flag. As soon as he said that, I knew that we weren't going to be successful.
Yeah,
because
100%.
He's not interested, Carl. I just think he's here to make money.
Yeah, of course.
As long as the club are making money, the grounds are full up, there's no way that Arteta's getting sacked.
No, 100%
if
facts.
Arsenal crash out of the group stage of the Champions League, right, we could come fourth in that group and not even qualify for the Europa League, or get knocked out of the group stage of the Champions League and go into the Europa League. They still wouldn't sack him.
No, it's unbelievable, one. It's just, I don't know what the whole love affair is with this Arteta. I honestly don't. I never saw a player like that, or a manager that gets so much love and attention for achieving nothing. You know, it's unbelievable. If they don't, I don't care what I want to say. If they don't do anything this season, Warren, I don't want to see the man at my club anymore.
No, exactly. I've felt like that for a long time, and you know, for me, it's shocking the amount of money that's been spent, the way the club has treated the fan base, and so on and so forth. The stunts that some of these people in positions of power have pulled, particularly the likes of Edu, and that they're still employed, I think is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I honestly, Carl, I want a change of ownership at the top, because I think things would change. I want an owner that's going to be a megalomaniac and hold people to account, because I just don't think that things are going to change.
Not
all the time. We've got people like Josh and Stan Kroenke in charge of the club, because I think Josh is here. He's here to learn the ropes, so that when his dad retires, he's able to take the business empire over. He's using Arsenal to learn the job and what's required.
Shambles.
And that makes me really angry and upset that that's what's going on.
Shambles. Shocking.
So, talking about that, Carl, if you could change one thing at Arsenal, what would that one thing be?
Fan base.
Sorry?
The fan base.
Yeah.
Just get the fan base on kind of our wavelength, not to accept mediocrity, to demand number one, demand success. And if we're not getting success, don't go to the games. Don't buy the merch.
Yeah.
The fan base change their minds and be like us. The fan base will then realize how powerful we are.
Yeah.
Because we can change that one. We can change the ownership. We can change the management because of our actions. But the fan base won't do it because, like what you said earlier, they're brainwashed with all this PR bullshit.
Mm. No, exactly. Because, I've actually blocked Arsenal from sending me emails because I'm sick and tired of every couple of weeks getting an email about a new merch drop. They sent another one. I don't know how they managed to do it, but they sent another one today telling me about a new merch drop. So I blocked it again. I'm sick and tired of getting emails about merch drops.
Yeah.
I never get an email saying, we never got an email saying, dear Arsenal supporter, this is a message for you from Josh and Stanley Kroenke. We're very sorry that we let you down this season. We're determined not to happen again. And an apology.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
It's like, we got this merch. 2 days after we lost that game at Manchester City, they were launching a new merchandise range.
So it's shocking.
It's absolutely shocking, mate. And I agree with you about the fan base. I really do. So, Carl, we're coming to the end now, but there's just one more question I want to ask you, right? And that is, in your years of watching Arsenal, what has been for you the thing that's given you the most pleasure?
Right. I understand Jays and Kenny Kane. I understand their outlook on Spurs, on Tottenham Hotspur, because they're from the area. So, but for me here in Ireland, my hatred is towards Manchester United.
Mm.
I cannot say, there's no English word that can describe how I feel about them. I hate them with a passion. And for us to go to Old Trafford and win the Premier League in their backyard gave me the greatest satisfaction of all. Because I was able to go out and give those bastards a nightmare. So that will answer your question there, Warren. Win the Premier League in Old Dump Trafford was the greatest pleasure of all.
Well, fair play to you, mate. Fair play. And I think that's a good note to end it on. So, Carl, can you tell everyone about your YouTube channel and about what sort of things you get up to, mate, before we finish?
If you want entertainment, if you want passion, reality, honesty, straight off the cuff, straight out the head, tune into Kyle Walsh Gunner. And this season is going to be elite on my channel. I'm going to be doing live shows with guests coming on, with the legend himself up me, Warren, Jays, Kenny Kane, TJ, Connor, Del Boy, Manny, and the list goes on. What I'm telling you is, God help Arsenal if things start falling apart, because I won't be under cases big time this season. So if you just want to tune in. Both throw on the seatbelts, buckle up, because God only knows what kind of reactions you're going to get from me. I'm like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'll be good one day, an absolute lunatic the next day. So tune in, folks, and big up to you, Warren, for having me on your show, and all the panel, and the guests there are going to be coming in there now and getting involved in it. Big up to you all. You're all legends.
Well, listen, Carl, it's been an absolute pleasure. And, mate, I found it fascinating and incredibly entertaining listening to all your stories and listening to your perspective from things. And I think when I put this out, because we're recording this on Tuesday evening. When I put this out, I'm sure that people are going to love it, man. Please make sure you go and subscribe to Carl, because his channel is just incredible. And the passion you saw for him from him today, is nothing compared to what he's like when he starts going into one. Because the guy absolutely loves and breathes Arsenal Football Club. So fair play to him. Please go and subscribe to his channel, because it sounds like it's going to be superb this coming season.
Absolutely.
And I want to give you a big thank you, Carl, for doing me the honour of coming on and telling us all about your life as an Arsenal fan and a football fan in general. And so thanks ever so much.
I want just something that came into my mind before you wrap up things. I also like to say I was very lucky with my international Irish football team at that particular time as a young fella as well, with Jack Charlton, with the great Paul McGrath, Ray Houghton, Ronnie Queen, and Mick McCarthy, Steve Staunton, the Jason McAteer, Roy Keane. The list goes on. We had a really good Irish team. And I remember the 88 Euros, and I remember with the Dutch, the great Ruud Gullit, the great Van Basten. I remember all that. And then I remember the 1990 World Cup and the way we went out against the Italians, and the songs, and the country closed down. And I remember going to Dublin Airport to welcome the team back and seeing Paul McGrath for the first time, and McAteer give me the thumbs up. And I remember all it just was great. The country closed down. It was great celebrations. And so I like to say a big up to Ireland's international team back then as well, because that made me excited for football as well. But now, to be quite honest with you, the Irish team now is the same as the Arsenal team now. Absolute dirt. So I'm looking for Arteta, my club manager, out. And I'm looking for my international manager out. It's a disgrace. I went up, I don't know if you saw it, Warren. I was on with Tony Gunner and the legend himself, Matt Southern Gunner. I was on a show with them there a couple of weeks ago. I actually travelled up to the Ireland game, the last Ireland international game there in the Viva Stadium against Gibraltar. And I was the only one protesting outside the stadium. And they wanted 45,000 people that got in there, nil at half time against Gibraltar. And I'm the only one. Kenny out. I nearly got the shit kicked out of me. But anyway, I went up and protested. That was it. If everyone else was like me, we have standards. Our Irish international team could be going to European Championships, World Cups, but don't have the same standards as we have at Arsenal. No standard at all. No winning mentality.
I meant to ask you about the Irish national team, but I've seemed to have forgot to do it, so I'm sorry about that.
Well, there's a little bit of a background into it as well, Warren.
No, that game, that Euros that you're talking about in '88, I was there.
Oh, Jesus, Warren.
I was like, yeah, it was. I was at the game when Ray Houghton scored that goal, and it was unbelievable. The atmosphere before the game, it was like a massive party. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And
I must catch up with you and fill me in on details about that. I would love to hear some stories about that. Because the stand-up from me...
Mate, the rest of that tournament, it was unbelievable. It really was. And I will. I'll share some photographs with you and whatnot as well.
But Warren, I'd just like to say to you that the standout to me for that event itself was Ruud Hollis. What a football player!
He was best centre forward I ever saw. Carl Van Basten. I'll never forget the way he destroyed Tony Adams in that game. It took Tony Adams about 18 months to get over it. Because he got destroyed. I remember seeing Van Basten turning the fella inside out. And this is Tony Adams we're talking about. One of the greatest centre-halves ever to play football for Arsenal Football Club. The fella scored a bloody hat-trick against him. Do you know what I mean? It was unbelievable. And it absolutely destroyed him. And to this day, I think he's the greatest centre-forward that's ever lived. If I had a World 11 and I had to pick a centre-forward, he would be on the team sheet straight away. No argument about it. After what I saw that day, it was unbelievable.
And what was Huddle like then, live?
Huh?
What was Ruud Huddle like?
No, mate, he was class as well. That team that they had, the Dutch, was incredible. It was an amazing team. And I remember watching the final. I was in Munich and we couldn't get tickets for the final, but we were outside. We were watching it in a TV shop. We were stood outside a TV shop and they had the game on the TV. And there was me, two other British fellas, right? And a little Russian fella and about 200 Dutch, right? All outside this TV shop watching the game on the telly. And it was like just a massive party. It was brilliant. We had
unbelievable. That's some experience to have, Warren.
It was. And there was a load of thrower lines up, like, there was across the road, there was like this house of ill repute, I guess you'd call it. There was all these thrower lines hanging out the windows looking and...
Unbelievable.
It was hilarious, mate. It really was. It was the whole... We were there for like 2 weeks. And the whole thing, it was just an unbelievable experience.
We may share stories there, Warren, to see some pictures saying it'll be...
Yeah, I will. I'll be sending you some pictures and I've got a podcast on it. I'll send you a link for it so that you can have a listen to it because it was unbelievable.
Daily. I look forward to that.
Yeah, but yeah, so this business with the Irish national team, right? What I saw this thing the other day, someone posted it on Instagram, and there was the current incumbent at the FAI who is in the role that John Delaney was in, right? And he was trying to avoid answering questions about his salary, right? And he was going, no, I don't think people need to know that. It's not their business. And his boss was in the room with him and he goes, no, I want you to tell people, right? So he made him say it and it was unbelievable. It was shocking, man. So, but what do you think is going to happen with Stephen Kenny? How much longer are they going to give him?
You see, there's a few things before we wrap up. The first thing is, John Delaney left Irish football in a bad situation. Now, we're paying Stephen Kenny $500,000 a year.
Mm.
Now, for an international manager, $500,000 a year, it's a good bargain in today's football. Mm. If you're going to get anyone worth talking about, it's going to cost the country millions.
Mm.
Now, I don't think the FAI has millions to give out to an elite manager. So we're kind of left with Stephen Kenny. Now, the other problem we have is we have no players. I don't care if you have 10 Pep Guardiolas coming in to take care of Ireland tomorrow morning. What is he going to do with the players we have?
No.
The players we have are embarrassing. Embarrassing, Warren. They're useless. There's not one good player. We have Jeff Hendrick.
Carl, I have to say, I slightly disagree with you there because I think there's a young fella who plays up front from Dublin. He plays for Brighton. I think he's class.
Oh yeah. He's all right. Let's see what he does. Let's see what he does now next season and what he does at the internet. Listen, he's a promising player. Give him a chance. Let's see. But there's some donkeys on that team, like that man that you're talking about. Like he can be only as good as what he has around him.
Well, no, this is the problem, especially being a striker. You're relying on getting ammunition from your teammates, and I'm sorry, they're just not good enough.
It's not good enough, and that's the problem that we have. And then you see, it stems back to grassroots football. The children of today, Warren, are too busy on their phones, on iPads, in internet, playing games, instead of being out in the fields like we were when we were children, with a cup champions football, learning the basic skills of playing the game. So it affects the whole thing from the grassroots up. And it doesn't help when you have the likes of John Delaney and all these lads full of corruption and making serious amounts of money and not a thing being done about it. They should be all fucked into jail. Robbing the country blind.
Exactly.
And the same thing, and I'm going to say it straight up, and it's kind of going off the game. The same with the Catholic Church. The most corrupt organisation in the world. The same with the guards. The Gardaí here in the country, I tell you the truth, most of them should be jailed for what they do. And it won't even start about the politicians.
No.
Michael Martin and Leo Varadkar, Tatanishta and the Taoiseach of the country and Eamon Ryan and all these lads, they should be all fucked into jail and the king should be thrown away.
No, 100%, mate. Listen.
Legalised criminals is what they are. And they have the country in a state.
Right. It's shocking.
And it goes back to the FAI. Corruption.
See, the problem is, mate, as you know, I used to work in an Irish organisation in London. Their prime role was to promote Irish culture and support Irish immigrants in the UK, right? For me, I have to say, because I am Catholic, and it saddens me to say it, but the Catholic Church is a massive problem in Ireland, a huge problem, and there are lots of it. When I'm not on camera live with you, mate, I will tell you more. But it's a massive problem. The things that I saw made me really angry, and I can't talk about it online, but it's shocking, and they are a massive problem in Ireland. Well, they really are, and it needs to be sorted out because the things I saw, mate, were disgusting.
Well, you know me, Warren, I always speak out loud. I know a priest that I had something to do with when I was about 13 years of age. Not only me, but there was about 12 other boys. And what happened was, that particular time in my life, I was going through a few problems, so I was going to see this priest and having a chat with him. He used to be in a church up in Rathmines in Dublin. And this day, I was up in Spar Shop in Dublin and Ranelagh, and I heard something about it. I heard his name being mentioned on the radio. I said, what the hell is this all about? That night, anyway, he was being arrested. So out of the 13 or 14 boys that he was seeing and helping, he was doing all sorts to 10 of them. Now, I was one of the lucky ones. He never came near me. And I suppose because I was always a tall and big, strong-looking fella, he probably knew he wouldn't be able to do anything. But he was doing something else to these lads. He got arrested, and the cowardly bastard hung himself 3 weeks later inside a jail cell. So I hope he's rotting in hell. But that's what this Catholic Church is. And I'll tell you a quick little story. My mother went to the presentation school here in this town, ran by nuns. And because she was black, this nun bought a cot in and threw my mum in the cot. Now, my mum would have been 8, 9 years of age at the time. And she used to bring bananas in and give them to the white kids and tell the kids to throw the banana in at the monkey. That's what that Catholic Church is. Every single one of them should be put against the wall and fucking shot. Because that's what that Catholic Church is. And I'm a Catholic. It's a joke. People say you should be proud to be Catholic. I'm not proud to be Catholic. People say, oh, everywhere you go in the world, you should be shouting like you're Irish. Proud to be Irish. I am proud to be Irish. My country is a fucking joke. Ran into the ground by clowns. Corruption of the highest level on every fucking level. Corruption. That's it, Warren. And I say it as it is. And I speak out about it. And anyone has a problem about it, come and talk to me.
It's shocking, mate. It really is. But like I said, I'll talk to you about it off camera another time. But listen, mate. Listen, thanks ever so much for tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Absolutely brilliant, Chas. Brilliant. Loved every bit of it. Unfortunately, mate, I have to get back now and probably be up all night packing and moving stuff and doing
But listen, good luck with the move. I hope it goes well. It was great talking to you. And listen, guys, make sure you go and subscribe to Kyle Walsh Gunner and look after yourselves and all your friends, your families, and your loved ones. And please remember to share some love and kindness around the world. And with that, I'm just going to play my intro one more time and we'll finish it there.
I should settle for first place, of course. Anybody that had settled for less is crackers.
Yes.
Because I heard Cherie Blair was being lined up for a Baroness title. So I thought, what on earth for? If she can get a title, the world's gone mad. I'll make my own up. So from now on, I am Sir Roland Rat, MBE, OBE, NBC, GCSE. Okay. I mean, Terry's got one.
Price. Stapleton. Oh, Rice in there.
I should settle for first place, of course. Anybody that had settled for less is crackers.
Already signs of Arsenal looking more positive in these early minutes of the second half. Ball back. Well, it's an exquisite goal from a player who is really in peak form at the moment. Season broken apart. There won't have been many better goals scored down the years on this ground than the one from Dennis Bergkamp here for Arsenal. Good ball by Dennis.
I should settle for first place, of course. Anybody that had settled for less is crackers.